Sandro Botticelli was an Italian early Renaissance artist born in 1445 Florence. His work is well known for its use of line, color, and light, with an elongated body form, and included numerous works of Greek mythology and religious themes, as well as portraits later in life. One of his famous works, The Adoration of the Magi, included himself as a spectator, a common practice for portrait art in the early Renaissance. Italy in the 15th century was a collection of city-states. Botticelli lived in Florence, and it was ruled by the Medici family. They weren't nobles, but had wealth and influence for nearly a century. They were considered one of Europe's wealthiest families. Florence is known as the first city of the Renaissance, and the Medici family helped make that happen. They were a major sponsor of Renaissance artists, and Botticelli was one of them. We'll take a look at three very different paintings by Botticelli: Primavera, Madonna of the Magnificat, and Portrait of a Young Woman, all done within a few years of each other. Primavera, meaning spring, was painted in 1482. It's one of the most beautiful paintings of the Italian Renaissance and is considered a masterpiece of Western art. Primavera depicts the coming of spring. We see Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, in its center, surrounded by other mythical subjects. To her right, we see the three Graces joyfully dancing. They are the daughters of Zeus, who bestow mirth, elegance, and beauty. They often use an art to show three different views of the human form in a single view. We can see the beauty in their clothing and the skill of Botticelli at how he playfully paints their hands. Mercury, the messenger of God, stands next to them. We see he's holding a wand, as if heralding winter's departure. On her left, we see Zephyr, the Greek god of the west wind, embracing Chloris, his wife, the goddess of flowers. Flora, the goddess of spring, their daughter, is next to them, spreading flowers from her floral dress onto the ground upon her delicately painted feet. They are all on the same plane, as if two-dimensional, with the stances that are elegant but unnaturally possible. There is no perception of depth. They are all the same size, except Venus is presumably behind them, as she is placed higher, as if in the background of the painting. She holds a space of prominence above them and center, showing her higher status. Behind her are the trees forming an arch, as if in an apse, like we would see in religious paintings. Above Venus is her son Cupid. He's ready to shoot his arrow at one of the three Graces, but he is blindfolded. Which one will be hit by Cupid's arrow? The painting is saturated with flowers, signifying the abundance of spring. There are oranges, possibly as a tribute to the Medici family. Primavera is one of Botticelli's most famous works. Madonna of the Magnificat was done in tondo, or circular form. The form shows the mastery of an artist's ability to create a painting under the constraints of the shape in the round, a popular style of the time, as art became more accessible to individual collectors and displayed in private homes. We see Mary and the Christ child surrounded by 5 angels. 3 angels are together holding the Magnificat, Mary's song, or the Virgin's prayer. She writes in it with her right hand. Jesus guides her hand as he looks up to heaven while he sits on Mary's lap. In her left hand, Mary holds a pomegranate, symbolizing resurrection and immortality, as if a sign of his fate. The other 2 angels are crowning Mary as Queen of Heaven. The positions of the angels reaching over Mary while she bows to receive her crown all conform to the Tondu style. This shows Botticelli's skill as an artist. The poses look serene in the fitting of the round. They don't look forced or unnatural. We see only beauty. Mary's red dress symbolizes the spilt blood of the crucified Christ. Her robe, blue, symbolizing her royal place in heaven. Yet in the center of the painting, we see a landscape in the background. It places them on earth with us. Yet this painting of them is holy and shows their place in heaven from their devotion. This image shows and teaches the story of Christ's life in one beautiful scene by Botticelli. As secular culture grew and the influence of merchants became more prominent, power moved further away from kingdom and the church. Secular and portrait art's popularity increased and became a great source of income, and Botticelli excelled at portrait art in his later years. This gave us Botticelli's Portrait of a Young Woman. Portrait art goes back to Roman and Greek times, as we see on coins and in sculpture. It's in the Renaissance that the painter's skills mastered the portrait, and Botticelli's Portrait of a Young Woman is an excellent example of detailed realism. We see the fine detailing of pearls that symbolize chastity and delicate feathers with a brooch decorate her beautifully braided hair. On her neck, a reverse cameo depicts a scene of the Greek god Apollo playing Mercis for his hubris, possibly connecting her with the Medici brother. The young woman is believed to be Simonetta Vespucci, the it girl of the time who tragically died at an early age. We can see great detail of her hair and face, the use of shadow and light that gives us the realness of a Renaissance portrait. Portrait of a Young Woman is a masterpiece of Renaissance art that fascinates viewers centuries after it was created by Botticelli. We can see with Botticelli's The Birth of Venus how art can permeate our society and influence our culture. Botticelli's art surprisingly was out of fashion for a time. It wasn't until he was rediscovered that we began to celebrate his work. His art has been countlessly reimagined and has influenced us in ways we have yet to know. Art shows us history, but great works of art last the testament of time. They allow us to interpret through the prism of our own time as we look back. Our interpretation changes as we see ourselves in history, who we were, who we are, and who we can become.